Hi, everyone. My name is Georgette Truan. I work for the law office of Vincent Davis. Attorney Davis is unable to do the show today, so he asked if we can do the show with him and with Darren Guai. And our guest today is Casida Moore. Hi,
Yeah,
Casida. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Wardrobe
So,
malfunction.
what state is your case in, Casida?
I am in Louisville, Kentucky.
Wow. And you were the mother in this case or the relative?
Yes, I'm the mother.
And how many kids are we talking about?
We're talking about one child, but I do have 10 total.
Oh,
Oh, wow. 10 children. Well,
Yes,
God bless you.
I need it.
that is indeed. Hmm.
And when did CPS become involved in your case?
So CPS became involved last year.
Yep.
My son basically told the school that his father had been abusing him and physically and emotionally. And so the school called CPS and they did an investigation, but they said it's unsubstantiated because he didn't have any physical bruises or anything of that nature. So then we had another incident where he stated, "Hey, I'm scared to go with my father. He's abusing me." So he started banging his head on the floor at school.
God.
And they called me and said that something's going on. We need to get this addressed. So he had to go to a mental institution for a week. And they stated that he has major depression and anxieties. And so, and he kept telling them, what was going on, the allegations or whatever. And so finally, I was like, I called too myself as the mother, and they came out. But basically, what they were saying is this is a high custody case, because mom and dad, we have a parent coordinator that mediates for us. And so they were saying it's a high custody case. We don't want to get involved. But I'm like, you need to look into the allegations of what my son's saying, not not anything that is in regards to custody. It's about what he's saying. So then he went into another mental institution because of the same things. He's put Life 360 on my phone, which I didn't even know what that was. He was like, if anything happens to me, you will know where I am at all times. And so he communicated with me, I'm just going to end it. I can't live with my dad. I'm scared. And so basically, the father is an alcoholic. And when the child was a baby, maybe 6 to a year old, 6 months to a year, he got a DUI with him in the vehicle, and he was 3 times over the legal limit. And so for a minute, they, took him out. He was with me, and I kept telling them he doesn't need to be with him on a full-time basis. I wasn't trying to keep him away, but I knew because I had issues with the father, domestic violence cases, but I let them go. And I made a mistake. I shouldn't have never let them go. I just was trying to get them out of my house. We were married at the time, and I was trying to get them out the house. But because I let them go, it just did a trickle down effect as far as what's happening now. So the father is a narcissist, and it's not nothing I'm just saying. So when we were dealing with the DNA case as far as CPS and him getting the DUI, I said, well, listen, let's both of us have a mental evaluation done, a psychological evaluation. So they did the psychological evaluation. Mine came back as I didn't want to be alone. His came back, he was a borderline narcissist. And so They didn't even look at that. They didn't say anything about that, but it was there. He has lied constantly on me, and everything that he's lying about and saying on me is what he did. So you after we he regained his custody, he kept constantly, because he was trying to get me back as far as because of the DUI. So he would constantly call CPS on me. I was ready for him. Anytime they wanted to come over, I'm like, come on, no, come in the house. There's nothing going on. They were constantly at my children's schools and things of that nature. So I didn't have a problem because I knew he was going to call. And so by that time, moving forward now to today, they're trying to now say it's me, that I coerced him, and he's 13 years old, that I'm coercing him into saying these things about the father. And CPS is in, CPS, the judge, the parent coordinator, who we just recently got this new one in March. And she act like she knows me so well, and they're acting as if I'm the mad black woman, and I'm not. I'm just advocating for my son. He's hearing impaired, so he has a lot of problems, like communicating. I mean, he can communicate, don't get it wrong, but like processing information. So I'm his advocate. And so there was a therapist that he had. And so the therapist talked to him. They would take him out in the community. And so he talked extensively with this therapist. And so she did an emotional injury affidavit. And that was the only way CPS said that they could substantiate based on the affidavit, because he didn't have any literature marks. And so she did the affidavit. We were supposed to go, that was 2 weeks ago. We were supposed to go 2 weeks ago on a Monday. The CPS worker said, oh, she's sick, she couldn't show up. So then they was headed for that Friday. So then all of a sudden, they said that the therapist pulled her affidavit. Now, mind you, I have talked to this therapist. The therapist has talked to my son, and I was mad because I'm like, you know that this child has been. So I acted a little out of character. I got a little emotional, probably a lot emotional, and we're not going to make that up. And so I did something on Facebook, but only her and her person that works with her could see it. Nobody else could see it. And so they screenshot it and sent it to the judge. So the judge basically stated, because mind you, the parent coordinator has lied in this case. So I'm skipping a lot of the parts, but the parent coordinator lied in the case, and I have documentation that it is lies that she has told to make it seem as if, oh, Casita is doing all these things, she's bad, and just lying on me. She don't even know me. I just met her in March, so she doesn't know who I am. And so even they went to court without me. They had a court motion hour without me. And so I'm like, well, my address is this. And they like, well, we sent it to your old address. And I'm like, no. So they was like, well, give us your new address. So I went down to the courthouse and got all the records, all the motion hour recordings. And so I listened to them. And she basically said CPS told her that they don't believe that the father did anything to the child, that I switch his schools all the time, and that he's just acting out because of mom. And these are the things that my son said, nothing that I said, because I wasn't there. Like I told him, I wasn't in the home with the father. He knows what's happening over there. And so they just wanted to turn it around on me. So what they did was because of my actions as far as what I did on Facebook, they're saying, oh, she needs a psychological evaluation. And I said, I don't mind getting a psychological evaluation because I know there's nothing wrong with me. However, if y'all want this to find out, let's do it again because I've already done one. And so then they gave the father exclusive parenting time. I haven't seen him, but I have talked to him, but I haven't seen him. And then our hearing, mind you, we've never had any type of hearing, just motion hours. Everything has been done in motion hours. I even was representing myself at first, which is a no, because when you're emotional, you can't represent yourself. And so I finally tried to get an attorney, but I can't even get a hold of the attorney right now. I mean, I've sent her a message. Did you do this? Did you ask for respond to their motion? You know, I've spent $5,000 just on that and nothing. And so I'm just, I mean, I don't know what else to say. My son has suicidal ideations. He went to the hospital just on the 28th and was like telling them, if I go with my father, I'm going to hang myself. And they're like, the hospital called the CPS worker, but she didn't answer the phone. So I've been emailing her and she said, you need to stick with the orders, which means what the judge said, giving him exclusive parenting time. And then with me, not being able to contact the therapist or anyone else other than making a doctor's appointment or something. So that's where I'm at right now. That was a lot.
Yeah, wow.
So he was diagnosed as a borderline narcissist.
Yes. Yes, the
And
father was.
they have proof of that. So a borderline narcissist is a pathological liar.
Yep.
So with that being said, if they understand anything about narcissists, they would not give him back any child. Was your attorney willing to get that psychiatrist to be subpoenaed, subpoenaed so that way that psychiatrist can talk about the findings?
Well, because it had been, like I said, when my son was 6 months to a year, it's like 10 years or more older. It's old. So we would have to get a new one. So, but I'm getting an independent one as we speak. I already did some of the preliminaries, and then mine's will be finished on the 31st of this month because they're making it seem as if I'm aggressive or I'm speaking for him, but I'm not. I'm speaking for him in the sense that I'm taking up for my son. I believe what he's saying. I've dealt with some of the same similarities, but my son didn't know because I never talked about his father in front of him. So there's similarities in some of the things that he said, like he has blackouts. When he drinks, he has blackouts. Well, he'll drink, it's called a Jägermeister, which is 35% alcohol. And I Googled it and it states you won't remember the next day. So that's what's going on. He abuses the child and don't eat. Some of it, I think he do remember, but some of it, I don't think he remember what's going on. And
hey,
so,
Ms.
yes, yes, sir.
The J is silent in Jägermeister.
Oh, thank you. Well, I don't drink it, so.
It's some powerful stuff.
Yeah. And so he drinks that every night. So my son sent me a text message with the pictures. It's still reserved. And then it's the whatever you said, the Jägermeister or whatever it is.
Jägermeister.
So he's drinking both of those every night.
That's a lot of alcohol.
Yeah. And so everything that I'm saying, though, has been documented. My son basically was like, they're not believing me, Mom. I've told the school, I've told everybody, they're not believing me. So what he started doing was he started tape recording conversations.
Wait,
And then he would send them to me.
Hold on a second.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the strategy that you're using right now is not working. Would you agree?
Right. Yes.
So insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's try to figure out what you should be doing. At least try a new strategy. How's that sound?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask Miss G what she suggests. I'm going to ask Darren what he suggests. And then I'm going to tell you some things that I suggest. Okay.
Okay.
And maybe you can use, you know, the best of all three and maybe talk to your attorney. But let's start with Miss G. Miss G, what do you think she should do?
I honestly think that she, like I said, should contact her attorney and to subpoena that psychiatrist into to the court, and that's very important because for them to accuse her of coercing her son when her son is the one that, out of all the 10 kids, why is he the only one that's being coerced, right? I mean, he's the only one that's being punished from this man. Am I right?
Well, first, let me say he's the only child of that person.
Of that man. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so with that being said, so he's abusing his son the way he abused you, and you were emotional because you felt the abuse and you were protecting your son and you believe your son. That is normal. That is very normal. So with that being said, that psychiatrist should be subpoenaed to court. And if your attorney is a court appointed attorney, in my opinion, he or she is not going to do it. They're not going to subpoena the psychiatrist. Even if he says he's going to subpoena, it's not going to happen. It's a lie. So I suggest you hire an attorney who is qualified to fight this type of fight with juvenile dependency cases that understand state laws. And when was that report made, by the way, that psychiatrist report? When was it done? What year?
I would say 2000, maybe 12.
Okay, so 2012 is not going to be matter anymore. Am I right, Attorney Davis? Or
No,
that's
it's too old. Yeah, it's too old.
Yeah,
It's too old.
So you need another one, psych evaluation for you and him, and also a psych evaluation for your son. And that attorney that you hire, make sure he understands a narcissistic behavior in court. You know what a narcissist is all about, because there's a specific strategy for those types of people. So in court, especially in court, in family court. So juvenile court or family court, doesn't matter, both courts. But in my opinion, you do need legal representation. And my opinion, do not speak to him. Do not communicate with him. And if you had a restraining order against him, right?
Right. At one point.
At one point, to me, that showed the social workers that you're not taking it serious. So if you let him back in your life to see the child, then the social worker sees that, you know, you're coercing the child.
Right.
But again, they're not really qualified to make any type of, they shouldn't even have an opinion, to be honest with you.
Right.
Because they act like they're psychiatrists, they act like they're jurors, they act like they're judges, and they're not really clever.
Right.
They're not clever, they're not smart. And so you need an attorney that is on top of it and to address all that, in my opinion.
Right.
I could be wrong, but Davis will correct me if I am.
All right, Mr. Guai, what do you think? Are we lip reading for Mr. Guai?
Can't hear you.
Mr. Guai has $1 million studio, Miss Moore. I don't know if you know that.
I heard his music playing earlier.
He's got a sound effects machine and everything.
Oh, wow. Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
just barely. Hey, Miss Moore, while he's figuring that out, I'm going to give you some of my thoughts, okay?
All right.
Okay. So, I met with some people today, and I found myself telling them something that I tell people every once in a while when it crosses my mind based upon the facts of their case. And I think this might apply to you. You can think about it. It may not. You can talk to your attorney about it.
Check 1, 2.
But I think a lot of these cases are won outside of the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, you know, you don't have to try to. Let me give you an example. You know, back during World War II, when the Allies were going to invade Normandy, the first thing they did was they bombed and shelled the beach to soften it up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
See that in movies? And that's because if you soften it up, hopefully you're going to have less resistance. The same principle applies in courts, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to soften it up before you go into the courtroom, so you have a better chance of storming the beach. Hold on a second. And in this particular case, softening up the beach would be equivalent to changing your relationship, at least in the beginning, with the players in the case. Now, that could be your attorney, the other attorneys, the social worker, right? Now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying the social worker is going to do right. I've seen too many cases where that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you can kind of manipulate the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tantamount to softening up the beachhead, right?
Mm-hmm.
I came on late. I was having some technical difficulties. And one of the things that I noticed about you, and I don't know if you're like this with people in general or in court or whatever, but you're a little harsh.
Oh my God.
Anybody ever tell you that before?
Um, like a control environment type of person. Like I have to demand something. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm glad you've heard that before. Because now you and I have never met, we've never talked to each other before,
Right.
but this is what I see and I hear. And if
Mm-hmm.
I see and hear it and I just jumped on the show, guess what the judge sees and hears?
Right.
And I'm not telling you that it's necessary to um, be friends with people.
Mm-hmm.
No, no. I'm telling you, you have to do what you have to do to win.
Right.
Okay. And I know Miss G knows this because I've said it 1,000 times. Your job is to win, not to be right.
Mm-hmm.
And as I told some people today, once you win and you get the child back, if you think you've been wronged by the social worker, the county, your attorney, the judge,
Mm-hmm.
you can always do something later,
Right.
right? Civil rights lawsuit, that type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or, complaint to the judicial council, that type of thing. But I think you have to soften that edge that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And notice I'm telling you things that aren't, this is not legal advice,
Right.
really,
That's
right?
experience.
It's just, hey, how do you win a case?
Mm-hmm.
Many years ago, God, it might be 15, 20 years ago, I went to the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyers College for, I don't know, it was almost 4 weeks. And do you know how many times we talked about the law?
No many. Zero.
Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Zero. Now, how do you go to a trial lawyers college, learn how to be, a good trial lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
and not talk about the law? Seems kind of strange, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because generally the law doesn't matter when you're trying to convince a jury. In a judge trial, and it's a jury of one, there are a lot of other things that take precedent
Mhm.
in the brain, in the mind, when you're trying to convince somebody of something. Now, I want you to think about something for a minute. When you talk to your family members or your friend or your significant other, and you want something from them, okay?
Mhm.
Are you harsh with them? Are you screaming at them? Are you citing the law?
Mhm.
No. So why do you think you do what you do with your family and friends,
Mhm.
your significant other, when you want something, but when you go to court and you want something,
Mhm.
the worst want in the world, right? Your kids.
Mhm.
Why do you think you using a different strategy is going to work? The probabilities are it's not going to work.
Mhm.
Now, in my 37 years as a lawyer, do you think I've ever seen a case be won because you just jam the other side up? I've seen it. I've seen it work, but it's like one of those things, like 1 in 1,000 times,
Mhm.
right? The other 999 times doesn't work.
Mhm.
So if it doesn't work, you seem like a very smart person. You got to change your strategy.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, don't forget what I said. These people have done you wrong. I get it.
Mhm.
That doesn't matter. You got to get the kid back.
Yes.
Once you get the kid back, now you can do something about it.
Mhm.
That's why God made federal laws and, civil rights laws. You can do something about it. But let's get the child back first.
Right. You're right. Because I do come across, but I'm not. I'm really a gentle giant, but
Yeah. Now,
I've been like that all my life.
okay. But you know what? And I had this conversation with Miss G not too long ago. I don't really care what you've done all your life.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I don't care.
Mhm.
It's about
That's
the
not to
here and
put,
now. Yeah.
and that's not to put you down.
Right.
You came to me,
Yeah.
if you were a client, you came to me because you thought I was an expert at what I'm doing. And I am.
Mhm.
And what I'm telling you is not just something I'm pulling out of my butt
Mhm.
to tell you. I told someone today, I said, if I tell you A, B, and C, that's what I want you to do. I don't want any questions about it. I don't want to argue about it. Just do it. And if you don't do it, it's cool. But when
Mhm.
we don't win, don't complain.
Right. Right.
It's cool. You don't want to do it? No problem with me.
Mhm.
Now, I also told them this. If I tell you ABC, don't do BCD or XYZ. Because if you do, you're going to make my job harder and I'm going to charge you more money because you're
Mhm.
making me work harder.
Mhm.
So if you probably seen some of my videos. If you think that I know what I'm talking about, okay, you
Yeah.
should probably follow my advice.
I am.
Talk, at least talk to your attorney about it. Now, here's the interesting thing. Darren, Georgette, I want you to listen to something. This is how well I'm listening to this lady this morning. She said she's a gentle giant. Remember?
Mhm.
So that means to me, and I can't tell from the picture on the video, and we've never met, that she's a large person, right? She called herself a giant. Now, when you're out on the street and someone of a larger physical nature or appearance comes to you, how do you react to that?
Nicely and calmly.
Right, because If you don't act nicely or calmly to that giant of a person, you're probably going to get your butt kicked,
Mhm.
right? So, Miss Moore, this is how people are perceiving you. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying this is what's happening in people's
Mhm.
minds, and you're trying to win a case. So what do you got to do? You know who who I think
Wear
I've
flash.
ever seen is the best person at dealing with his physical stature with people
Mhm.
is Shaquille O'Neal. He's a giant of a man,
Mhm.
but you see him everywhere on television because people love him.
Mhm.
They love him because of his personality and his smile. Because he's figured out a way in his life how to diffuse the fact that he's 7 feet 1 or 2, 300 pounds,
Mhm.
and he's black.
Mhm.
He's figured out how to get around that. And now he's endorsing everything from car insurance to, you know, backache medicine to food. The guy's endorsing everything. Why? These companies are hiring him because people love him. Why do they love him? His smile, his demeanor, it's very
Mhm.
gentle. So, can you be Shaquille O'Neal with the judge, with the social worker? That's what you got to ask yourself. What did I tell you? Most cases are won outside the courtroom.
Mhm.
It's hard to convince somebody inside a courtroom who already hates you.
Right.
It's hard to do that. Damn near
Mhm.
Mhm.
impossible. You know, and Jerry Spence in the Trial Lawyers College, they're in the business of teaching lawyers how to persuade juries and judges. We never talked about the law. We never talked about, right and wrong, actually. Talked about how to
Mhm.
win a case. When I was at the college and we would do criminal defense exercises, no one ever brought up the fact, well, maybe my client's guilty. Occasionally you get arrested, you might be guilty of something,
Mhm.
right? No one ever talked about that. It was all talk about winning the case. And when you're in the CPS court, that's what you should be talking about,
Mhm.
winning the case. Okay? So
Okay.
that's my 2 cents. We got Mr. Guai. He's apparently technical difficulties are over.
Yep.
Mhm.
What would you do differently, Mr. Guai?
So the way I see it is this, and I've been on this bandwagon lately. I'm calling the American with Disabilities, and I'm asking them to jump on board and come and assist her son that has hearing. He's hearing impaired. He has a lot of issues that, I mean, she's already sitting there saying that she spent $5,000 in the lawsuit. Seems like the American with Disabilities would have some sort of help to provide her with financial statuses, or maybe more of an opportunity to get somewhere with something. Um, I mean, there's everything that I'm reading about them. They're doing a lot of good things for people. I know that they are also considering people, or they are leaning towards and supporting people that are being removed by CPS, and the families that are being that such. They are now, uh, helping out with the American with Disabilities, are helping them out now also. So this kid has a lot of things stacked up in a good position for him over there. I think that she should probably go talk to them and then contact your office. But I think, like for instance, the transcripts, I don't know if she paid for them or they did it through an indigent finding or however, but if you did pay for them, you could have gotten them from free because your son has a disability. So any of the court hearings that you requested and required from that, you would have been able to obtain from that. So there's a lot of things that they'll be able to assist you with. So that's the only thing that I can say is I would definitely check them out.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Moore, what do you think?
I think it was good sound information. I need to process it. I need to calm down. Just soften up a little bit. And I'm not a real giant because I'm only 5'1". So I'm only 5'1". So.
Right? Yeah, my buddy Tiny over here, he's 7'9".
But yeah, I mean, I guess just in my life in general, if I just calm down, I was just so, because when he was here with me, he was constantly in my ear saying, "Mama, I don't want to go. Please don't make me." And then I'm just like, and I believe in him, and I'm like, how do I convey this? And so I'm forceful with it because I'm mama of 10 anyway. I've had to take care of everybody all my life. So I'm like, and I need to soften up. Yeah.
Sometimes the mama bear comes out, like somebody wrote a comment about mama bear. It comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Susan wrote it actually right here.
Exactly.
Bear comes out. So
But I've always had to protect everybody. I mean, from my mother to my brother to my grandmother to all my life, I had to be the protector of everyone, and so, and I had nobody protecting me. So that's probably where that comes from, the hardness. And I'm really not like that because I'm about family, and so I really appreciate that.
Sometimes the trauma you go through changes you to defend yourself and to
Mm-hmm.
not allow anyone to break that wall you had built
Mm-hmm.
to protect yourself. And oftentimes we become our own worst enemy.
Basically.
And, yeah. So, we all make mistakes. We all have this bear in us that comes out once in a while. Even Davis has it. I have it. Darren has it. Everyone has it. So no one's perfect here. No one. And all I can tell you is that what? What is so funny?
Nothing.
What did Darren say? What did Darren say?
Darren didn't say anything.
Darren's fault.
What? Because what's so funny?
Davis's laugh.
Jesus. All I'm saying is that we all make mistakes. But in my opinion, I don't think CPS would care whether you're mama bear or papa bear.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care if you're the sweetest woman on earth. They don't care. They will keep pushing your buttons until you become the worst monster in the world.
Right.
So basically, they use tactics to get under your skin, to push you to the max where you lose your mind. Then they point the finger at you and say, "She's crazy."
Mm-hmm.
When they're holding your child or children hostage, or they're holding something on you. I don't know, anything that you love, any passion you have, when they hold it on you and keep pushing you, we'll take it from you, especially your children. Guess what?
Yeah.
You're not going to be the sweet 5'1" feet tall mama bear, right? You're not going to be that sweet woman. You're going to react. You're going to react.
Right.
Hey, Miss Moore, I want to tell you something before we getting towards the end of the show.
Yes, sir.
On August 5, 2023, starting at 8:30 a.m., we are going to have a Zoom seminar where we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts, legal laws, procedure, evidence of CPS. And I'm right now getting commitments from lawyers from all over the country who are going to be presenting during that time. So I want you to watch out for the announcements and make sure that you attend.
Okay.
So far, I have at least two. I think we need about 6 or 7 lawyers, and I have 2 firm commitments. I think I might have 3.
No, you have more than that.
Well, the first one is Michael, and I can't pronounce his last name, so I won't even say it or try to say it, but he's a CPS fighter warrior from New York. The second commitment I got is from an attorney here in Southern California by the name of Arthur Lasalento. Okay. I have a call out to his twin brother, who has his own law firm, Michael Lasalento, and I don't know if Michael's going to be able to make that appearance or not.
And you have Jennifer Payne.
and Jennifer Payne. Where's Jennifer from?
Uh, Michigan.
Michigan? Okay. So I know we have those three, and I have a couple more people I'm thinking about hopefully getting in touch with. So there are going to be some heavy hitters on
Mhm.
this show that you need to come and watch. And Darren, I still need a couple names from you. So text me or email
Oh
me
yeah, I did
a
that with
couple
you.
names of attorneys that I can contact.
Mm.
All right, Ms. Moore.
Okay.
Hey, I want to
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for being on tonight. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing. I hope you were
Thank
able to give information to people watching the show that maybe it'll help them in their case. Ms.
Yep.
Mhm.
G, Mr. Guai, thank you very much. And I will see hopefully both of you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time for our weekend
Nice.
edition.
12 o'clock.
It's 12
Um,
o'clock Eastern time,
April,
but it's
April wrote a message. If I may address April. April, you can always call the 888 number right underneath Darren's nick. 888-888-6582, and you can always ask for Attorney Davis, and yes, he can help you. It's Davis, by the way, not David. Davis with an S, and he can definitely help you in Fresno, California.
April, I can definitely help you. We have probably currently, I think, 2 or 3 cases in Fresno. So give me a call. Alrighty, folks. Good night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Bye bye now.